dialogue, but certainly.
Right. That's kind of what I was alluding to.
Yeah.
Okay.
How long do you think our board meeting will be on Thursday? Hour?
I plan an hour and a half, probably.
Yeah, I would think so. I think this meeting will be to some gauge because
Yeah.
it's gonna be the same two topics on the agenda, so.
You guys would find this one, it will go 10.
Right, if you do, we'll just, I can take,
And the one doing up in St. Lawrence County, but I canceled it.
That's what Joey is right now, with his he was on the phone, he does that.
Yeah, I'll tell you the truth about it, it's just not a place to be, not do it.
Yeah.
the snow's better than I expected this morning. We down there, the kind of crystals up underneath it, but even though that like cross, it was just.
Can we get started with, we have procedural stuff that we don't need him there for, or? I have everybody just.
We could, yeah.
Maybe.
He's here, yeah. We want to get started and then, or if you want, what's up to you. If you didn't park a lot, you get out of the way from the car now.
Give them a couple minutes.
Again, apologies to the public and invitees. This unfortunately is our only agenda item, so it's kind of difficult to get started.
Driving through Watertown this morning, it's, I don't know if you call it refreshing, I don't know, with all this upheaval, our global climate change. Drive through Watertown, it's a typical North Country, old-fashioned winter.
Snowbanks,
Snowbanks,
appropriate size,
yeah.
Tell Texas about global warming right now.
Oh. You know, I was talking with a guy, all the feedlots out there, everything.
Good morning. Good morning.
Have you met Harry before?
No.
Good day, sir.
Yep, Ed Waldrop, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well.
Good morning.
We also just point out, we do have Dave Whipple on the phone from Empire State Development in Albany, joining us as well. Morning, Dave.
Harry, are you ready to get started, or do you need a moment to get things in order?
No, I'm ready to get started.
Okay, so let's stand for the pledge and we'll call the meeting before.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, with that, we call our February 16th, 2021 Loan Review Committee meeting to order. I'm the chair, Rob Eliasso, and Dave Converse sitting in the boardroom when you're looking at the picture to the left of the head of the table towards the camera.
Yep.
I don't see John Jennings on, so John is missing. There's three of us on the Loan Review Committee. The purpose of our committee is to review the applications for completeness, and then we make a recommendation to either collect more information or move it to the full board and ask further discussion under the full board umbrella. So we also have a few from our LDC on, and then we have other guests, that are both involved with the loan and involved with the project in other ways, so.
Rob, can I give my normal spiel? Terry, if you have anything or ask questions of proprietary nature or, proprietary financial that does not get disclosed to the public, because the public is on board.
Yeah.
So at that point in time, we'll hold that up, and if we need to, we can go into an executive session for that purpose.
Okay. So we have a bunch of other folks that are listening in, and I know several of the names. So Don Rutherford is with Watertown Trust, and I think you have some other folks from your board involved. Matt Cybers from North Country Alliance. I think Dave Zembiak said Dave Whipple is with ESD from New York State. North Country Alliance and Watertown Trust and JCIDA are essentially putting together loan packages in addition to USDA grant fund and of course the big nut from New York State through ESD. So welcome to you all, and I don't know if each of you want to take a moment to just kind of introduce anyone else that's on from your agencies, or if I missed anybody. Mike Lumbus, your name sounds familiar, but I'm not sure who you are.
I'm a board member with the Watertown Local Development.
Okay. All right.
Mike is also,
Sounds familiar to me.
Mike is also the Director of Planning and Community Development for the City of Watertown.
Maybe that's why I hit that. Probably great interviews from the city somehow. Okay. And then-
Also, Amir Smith is the president of the LDC board.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. All right.
Hey, Rob, I don't know if you want to start with some questions, if you want to hear you give kind of a quick overview of the company and the project in Watertown, and then let the questions come from that.
Well, I was gonna start with, after we got through the introductions, I guess the normal thing, I don't know if there's anyone who's the public, we're all involved, but we'll open the floor to any public comments if there are any. So this is the moment that if anyone needs to speak as a public. Okay, the moment is gone. So, yes, I agree. Dave Zembiak will let Harry do a little bit of an overview and then kind of take back over and go through the process that we normally do to review the applications and what we're looking at. So we've got two projects, Convault Energy and DigiCollect. Both are looking for various loans and pilots, and both are looking to make a significant contribution to jobs and investment in North Country. And with that very quick introduction, Harry, I will please turn it over to you to give us a 30,000-foot overview of what the plan is.
Sure. Thank you, everyone, and good morning. On behalf of Convault and JCIDA, I do thank all of you, especially the staff at JCIDA, for spending the time over the last 5-6 months and putting this opportunity together. Brief introduction on Convault.
Just make sure, can everybody on the Zoom hear okay?
Not so well. It could be better.
You guys mind if I have the last one?
Go ahead.
Come closer to the microphone.
Yeah, is that better?
Is that better?
Harry's, Harry speak.
Is that better?
Yes.
Better, yes.
Okay, so I was saying thank you to the staff at JCIDA and many of you in spending time with us over the last 5 months and putting this opportunity together. Brief introduction on Convault. The name stands for Blend of Conventional and Alternative Power. We have been in operation for the last 7.5 years, almost 8 years now. We cut our teeth operating abroad, primarily working in frontier markets. We were the first to go into a country called Myanmar, developing a 300 megawatt solar project, which thankfully we sold 9% of it about 18 months ago, prior to the current issue going on in the country. We're developing projects in Laos, and about an hour ago, I got a positive signal from the government. We've got a waste development that we operate in India, and we're developing projects in Africa and Chad, Sierra Leone, and Tanzania. And now will move back stateside given the general economic conditions related to climate change and renewable energy. We are moving back to, a plan that we put together when we started, and that was go develop projects, build your own pipeline, and then you come back and you set up manufacturing so that you're not dependent on Chinese panels. We are very much pro-American. We want to see the US take the lead back in manufacturing of solar panels. As you might know, 90% of the panels today are produced in China with Chinese firms. And, we basically want to bring that back as much as we can. So with that note, we've got a very strong pipeline of more than 2 gigawatts of projects abroad. We're about to embark on a very large, project which we expect to announce along with the JCIDA application on May 12th. And it's going to be a substantial development of at least 1,000 megawatts, delivering the electricity to New York City and New York State. And the goal for us is to set up the manufacturing facility in phases and develop the business not only for solar manufacturing but also for EV charging. So as you might have heard yesterday, Jaguar has announced that by 2025 there will be no more combustion engines coming from Jaguar. It's all going to be electric, and you're just going to see a wave of other firms following that process. So we see there's a strong opportunity for manufacturing of EV chargers, as well as setting up the development of EV across the country. A large focus for us is going to be the United States. We will still develop projects in Africa and Asia and export the products. So this again supports manufacturing for not only our own consumption but for export as well. So we're looking to start relatively small in production capacity with 50 megawatt capacity. And this is going to call for a 20,000 square foot facility to begin with. And then over a period of 5 years, we expect that to get up to 500 megawatts with a 500,000 square foot facility. That is our conservative target at the moment. And that's looking at the existing pipeline projects that we have and not even the future pipeline projects. Development of renewable power and manufacturing of solar panels, manufacturing EV chargers, and becoming one of the top 5 players in the country for the manufacture of and distribution of panels. That's our business in general. I believe, let me talk about the investment amounts here. Over the next year, we're planning a total investment of $180 million in aggregate, where the manufacturing side alone is looking at about a $51 million total investment. The remainder of it is going to the project development, and over a period of 10 years, by 2031, we're looking at a total investment of $690 million. Of which the manufacturing side takes in $247 million. Again, if our 1 gigawatt project is approved, I think we would get through these numbers pretty quickly. In a matter of 3 years, I think we're going to beat all these numbers because that project by itself is almost $700 million in aggregate. So we understand development. We know what it takes to go into very, very difficult places and execute. To give you an idea, there are only 2 firms globally that has executed a bankable power purchase agreement in the country of Myanmar. It is us and the government of Singapore's own power company. So one is a sovereign company, and another one is us. And that shows you that we just don't quit. We just find ways to execute. There have been a lot of questions around, why, Watertown, why are we upstate here in New York? As many of you know, in 2020, the state had put together into law, that by 2030, at least 70% of the electricity needs to be renewable, about 17 gigawatts in total. So you've got New York and California leading the way, and that requires energy. If anyone's looked at the news, you see climate change hitting Texas, substantial amounts of rolling power outages. Expect this to happen, and I think if we don't come up with these solutions, you can expect blackouts across the country. And our goal here is to basically provide, innovative solutions to address this issue. I don't think we're going to be able to stop that issue. I think we can minimize it as much as we can, and that's part of our vision in terms of what we want to build and execute. Why talk about it? Commit ourselves to hiring from the military, especially people coming out of the military. That's going to be our first preference, especially with Fort Drum being in close proximity. We do want to provide this opportunity for them and for their spouses if they prefer part-time employment. We've got 2 companies here. We need to grow. And I think that's going to be our commitment to the military family, which is to provide employment for them. And we've got substantial numbers of people coming out of the military every month. I think the last numbers we looked at was about 150 personnel coming out of the military looking for work every month. And this is what we need. To directly address that question that has been raised, why here and not somewhere else? I think that's going to be our focus. I think we know that they're getting training from the community college. There's a SUNY campus. So I think we do need to work through that and get that done. So we also believe in something called mean reversion, where things just get back to where they were supposed to be. This area used to be the Energy Valley back 100 years ago. You were producing paper and pulp and so forth, and it's only a matter of time before it comes back. History tends to just repeat itself. We think the timing is right. We think that the environment that we're in today is going to require an opportunity of the scale that we're trying to build. I think we've got pretty much most of the pieces in quality place. So I will stop here. I'm sure you've got a number of questions pertaining to Commonwealth Energy before I go on to DigiCollect, and I'm happy to answer.
Well, thank you, Harry, and I guess we neglected to say welcome to Jefferson County. Marshall planned on today being 70, but he failed miserably. It was just a bit off the mark. So, I think for any of our committee members and really any of our invited guests and whatever, at the 30,000 foot level with regards to what Harry's intro was, are there any other questions from the other involved agencies? Since there is an interagency public financing being contemplated, and I want to try to have those questions answered if we don't directly ask them. So I'll kind of pose that question to NCA and the trust if there's any questions that need to be asked right now.
I guess, this is Don. I think what we'll do is kind of let the IDA's loan review committee kind of go through the process. When it gets to the Local Development Corporations Committee, I think that's, we can pose these questions prior to the meeting as well. But I don't know if I want to get into the weeds right now with regard to the questions that I have. We can do that after the meeting, let the IDA make their consideration and go forward from there.
So,
and I guess that's a good point. We're not particularly getting too deep into the weeds. We have had one executive session to review the applications with regards to financing. So there clearly is a lot of work to do and a lot of I's to dot and T's to cross. the commitment is there from all parties to move forward as quickly as possible, but this is a major project that's not gonna happen overnight, as we're all aware.
Yeah, and just, you know, our board really doesn't have any exposure to this yet because we've obviously had to keep this close to the vest. And so we're gonna need an opportunity to make sure that our board kind of has an understanding. That's really what I wanted them to attend today for, is to get an overview of what we're looking at.
Just
So,
go through procedure.
yeah, that's how we'll handle that going.
All right, Matt, anything to add, or you agree?
No, I agree with Don and, yeah.
All right, we'll go through our process. So we've got, basically 4 packets. 2 are categorized loans and 2 are categorized pilots. For Combo Energy and DigiCollect, as Harry just described, two distinct operations.
Rob,
Both, yeah,
did you want sort of a big picture overview of DigiCollect before we move on to that, or you wanted to separate the two?
I thought that's what we kind of just did.
Well, he did Combo, you did.
Yeah, I just did combo.
I couldn't hear everything still, so yeah, if you want to do the DigiCollect 30,000 foot, let's do that too.
Yeah, so DigiCollect is a digital platform. We built DigiCollect with the goal of having a full-blown ERP system to compete with the likes of an SAP, Oracle, and Microsoft Dynamics. It's an operating company for the last 4 years. We also have developed a number of applications in the power sector. We have taken out 3 patents from DOE, the first of which
Department of Energy.
the Department of Energy, the first of which is to monitor high voltage and distribution transmission lines. So when you've got, power, storms and whatnot, if your lines come down, it quickly alerts and tells you where it's down. The second and third are technologies for smart grid for the next generation and the second generation smart grid technologies that are required when more renewables come onto the grid. So these are all patents that we have licensed out from Department of Energy on a long-term basis. And we're going to be building sensors that would be purchased by the grid operators, and the sensors carry our software that would monitor the residential grids and the high voltage transmission lines and send the data back to the grid operator. So without this, it's extremely difficult for you to forecast demand and supply. And that's DigiCollect in a nutshell. So we've got about 15, 16 apps now that are either built or already live, and it's got a customer base already, and we're looking to grow that company. And that would be co-located here as well, given that it's got solutions in the power space. So very quickly in terms of numbers, again, we would look to hire people coming out of Fort Drum. Also looking to set up data centers. We do like very cold areas for data centers, given that cooling is a big issue in a data center that's expensive. So we're looking at, for this year, for the next 12 months, $56 million in total investment and a square footage of 5,000 to start with, and then over 10 years, a total investment of close to $490 million with 300,000 square foot facility. So that's DigiCollect at a high level.
Okay, thank you. So I guess back to just an overview. So we've got the 2 projects. We've got the loan portion and the pilot portion. The loan portion involves a number of different agencies. So Combo Energy involves Watertown Local Development Corp. And the JCIDA revolving loan fund. And then in addition, there's a piece from New York State, the Excelsior Job Credit Program, which is about 1/3 of their anticipated contribution, and then 2/3 of their anticipated contribution would be from an investment tax credit portion based on equity contribution and build out of the overall plan over a 10-year period. I'm not going to disclose the actual numbers because I'm not really sure what I'm privy to disclose, so I'll let those agencies, and Dave Zembiak Is that a fair assessment, or?
Yeah.
should we be closing?
Yeah, I think it's better to hold off on that because I think they've agreed on something, but they're still working out the final language of the agreement, so that's.
Yeah, and I don't want to disclose numbers if the Watertown LDC hasn't seen numbers, and we're making numbers up that they haven't seen.
Right now, that's between Harry and ESD.
These are all pretty well understood by everybody. And then there's a pilot piece for, that falls under our UTEP, so we'll go through that on Commonwealth Energy. On DigiCollect, there's, actually 4 different, agencies involved. JCIDA, Revolving Loan Fund, North Country Economic Development Fund, and then a split portion between North Country Alliance and DANK. And then again, New York State Excelsior Job Credit, and a,
Yeah, we'll hold off on those numbers, Rob.
I'm not saying the numbers. And then, Excelsior ITC. So those are where the different numbers are coming from this overall project. So the purpose of, and there's also a pilot discussion. The purpose of our discussion today is to focus just on the JCIDA portion, but the project's a project. So we're gonna go through the project, we're gonna go through the JCIDA portion, which is the revolving loan fund, and then the pilot for each of the 2 projects which fall under our UTEP. So they're actually rather straightforward and rote. Under the DigiCollect, I normally put out a little spiel here. The revolving loan fund portion that we're going to be discussing is a minor deviation, which is not abnormal for a project of this size. We really don't have a loan fund that fits these types of investments, but it is a minor deviation with regards to the duration and amount. We'll discuss that more at the full board hearing, but we normally flag that at the beginning. The Commonwealth Energy is not a deviation in either value, but it is a deviation with regards to the duration. But again, these funds, loan funds, don't really fit this investment profile. We don't really have a loan fund for major investments, so we are pledging money from the funds that exist. Okay?
Right.
So,
Rob, in order for us to move this to the full board, we will be discussing our numbers here today.
correct.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sticking to just our numbers. I
Yep.
understand. All the other stuff is for the rest of the alphabet soup of the world to disclose their values. All right, so we've gone through that. There are minor deviations. We've got our packets. It's really broken down into 4 packets. The RLF piece for, I think the first one on here is Commonwealth Energy. So we got the loan packet for Commonwealth Energy. So if you want to get your phone books out, it's a lot of paper, so it's good stuff. Lyle has sent us through some new information this morning. I think most of it involves the one of it's for the RLF, one of it's for the pilot. So we want to go through Commonwealth Energy first. There is a loan packet that we have. It's within the RLF value. It's for $225,000, which is being requested to review to push this packet through to the full board. And again, there's other agencies in New York State also contributing.
Rob, that's for 250,000.
Okay, the email said 225, so 250.
That was probably typo in the email.
Yeah, I see that somewhere else. It's just there was conflicting information somewhere. All right, 250, apologize. So Commonwealth Energy, 250 RLF, very straightforward. It's a participation loan, as I said, with other agencies, which this will all flesh itself out through those agencies and then eventually through the full board. Any particular questions on the loan packet itself? I know we had an executive session and a lot of my questions got answered with regards to some of the financing stuff, but and Harry already gave an overview. Any questions from our attendees of the board?
The 3% for 7 years, is that for both?
I think as we trying to find not really a good summary sheet here. Share with me, I'm trying to find a summary sheet that we normally,
It should have been, what I sent last night, Robbie, would have had an updated sheet in that.
yeah, it's just got everything else on there, so I'm trying to struggle through and find just our piece of it. So it's 250, and it looks like, am I reading this correctly, 3% interest for 7 years?
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure, because it conflicts some earlier stuff, and this has been like a following a moving ball, frankly, so it's a good thing, but it's overwhelming. So 3% interest, 7 years, 250. We've got a loan packet. There's other agencies involved. This is for Humboldt Energy, as we described. This would be the solar panel manufacturing portion of the investment at the Jeff County Air Park.
Yep.
And
That would be for a total project of $593 million.
yes. And I'm trying to stay away from a lot of these numbers because I'm not sure what's executive session portion and what's.
I think, Justin, you can advise us, but I think we're fine discussing what, our portion of the project, as far as, what we're bringing in the total project cost. When we get into personal financials of the company and some of their business strategy, that gets proprietary, but the overall size of the project and our funding to it. Justin?
Yeah, the macro statistics relating to the project are going to be the subject of resolutions of the agency, so they're generally public. But as you consider the underwriting of loans and personal financial information or corporate financial documents, you can discuss those items with an executive section for consideration. Ultimately, the loan documents will be public, but your consideration of the creditworthiness and underwriting can be done in executive.
Okay. So Humboldt Energy, total investment over the whole period of investment, $593 million. The majority of it is manufacturing equipment and construction costs, and then the balance is infrastructure and soft costs. On page 10 of our packet, from adding these up, it's 165 jobs that are expected to be created in year one, and then there's some outer years which our agency's probably focusing on sort of years 1 through 3, and maybe up to 5, but there is a fantastically detailed business plan and performance and a whole bunch of other information that was presented by ACL Investments and Humboldt Energy. Those are the types of things that we would have to discuss more in executive session because we really have to deal with the finances of the project and this, that, and the other. All of our discussions, I'd like to focus on sort of years 1 through 3, maybe up to 5, with regards to Humboldt. So page 10 of our loan packet has jobs at 165 in year 1, and there's some additional jobs created in years 2 and 3 for the production line and some incremental additive management and administration to go along with that. So year 3 are projected about 260 jobs, so about another 100 odd jobs created through the 3rd year. And our investment would be the 250 along with co-investments from other involved agencies for 593 overall. $593 million overall investment. Dave, Converse or staff, anything to add that we missed?
Anything you want to add, or?
No, I think it's.
So I guess, just summarizing, our financing really, well, it's, with the other part of it, it's be quite a bit. You see that $593 million. It's actually a small portion of the overall project to help get things started and to provide the local support necessary for some of the credibility it gives the project overseas.
Yeah, on this piece, and I think we're also making a contribution on the pilot side once we get to that packet.
Yep.
I know we got a couple other IDA board members. Any questions that you particularly have?
No, my only comment would be, you know, we're those 5 cogs on the 100 cog wheel, and whatever we can do, you know, we're there.
No, this is a very great opportunity and a very significant investment, and really looking forward to getting into the meat of the discussion through the full board meeting, and once all the other agencies have all the information, and then more can be discussed through executive session and within the public. So what can be disclosed today is what we have thus far. 2 significant investments through Perry's company, ACO Investments, through DigiCollect and Convo. So Dave Converse, would you like to make a motion to present this package to the full board for further discussion and eventual project reconciliations?
I think, Rob, first I want to touch base for the public that's with us and everyone else. I know that this sounds like kind of a very quick thing that we're working on, but staff and some board members have been working with this since, August, last August. So this really isn't, we're not just jumping into something blindly. I believe that the initial due diligence has been done. Harry's been very forthcoming with everything that he has and he's putting forward. So I want everybody to know that, we've been working on this a long time, and it's really a good step forward for the community.
Rob, I would ask,
New York State has done a substantial amount of vetting of the projects in their due diligence to develop some award funds that they're discussing with Perry's company as well. So it's been vetted at different levels, regional, state, and local.
Rob, I would ask, I think it'd be good for the comfort of the board and our guests from the other entities, lending entities as well. And I don't know if you want to do 2 separate sessions, but if we did an executive session to discuss some of the financial details and address some of the security behind the financing. So I don't know if you want to do Convo and come back out and discuss DigiCollect, or go in and discuss both at the same time. But I think that would be helpful to you before moving.
I think maybe if we do them both at the same time, we can have more of a public session.
Okay.
Yeah. Things.
Yep.
And then have an executive session, and then if we need to then come back out and move these to the full board at that moment.
Yeah, the other thing, Rob, before we actually make the motions to move them and then like that, I'd like to have our attorney who's here with us today, Justin Miller, just kind of help walk us through, so everybody gets a good feeling of procedure and how we're going and the steps that we're going to be taking beyond today and beyond Thursday. So, we can have Justin, you want to go through the next DigiCollect, and then we'll have Justin do that for us too.
Okay. Yeah, so that's the overview on Convo Energy. And DigiCollect, we also have a loan packet and a detailed business plan as well. So the overall investment for DigiCollect is $241 million. Our contribution through the RLF is $500,000 is what we're contemplating as a loan through the RLF, again, 3% for 7 years. And on page, I'm guessing it's page 10 of the packet still. Yeah, page 10 of the packet is the Page 10 of the packet are also the anticipated jobs created in year 1, 2, 3, which is really what the employment plan focuses on. Again, we're a bit more than 150 jobs, I think it's 175 in year 1, with some additional jobs created in years 2 and 3. And they're mostly software developers and production line. So the business plan of DigiCollect is more software related, and Combo Energy, as we disclosed, is manufacturing of solar panels. So two different business plans, 2 different styles, both co-located on the Jeff County Air Park land outside of the Washington Municipal Airport. I think that's the 30,000 foot level of those. I don't have much more to offer on the loan side of these, other than what's just been disclosed. And I know there is a significant amount of discussion these already, and what Dave offered is it would be good then for our counsel, Justin Miller, to describe kind of the next steps, give us a little bit of a